And now, get ready for some sports talk with Denny McLain.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you.
And here's your host, Denny McLain.
Good morning. Welcome to our show on this Sunday morning.
I'm Ron Cameron.
And I'm Denny McLain, come to think of it. Let me tell you where we're starting out. You remember when the Ford Motor Car Company and Mr. Ford always used to say, Ford has a better idea? Well, we're going to review that today and see if they do have a better idea. We're going to talk about Black Monday. A lot of people lost their job. A lot of people who probably should have didn't. And we want to talk this morning about Johnson versus Rice, Jerry Rice. You will not believe the difference between these two careers, despite the fact they called Johnson the next great player of all time. Justin Verlander and Captain Bluebeard in St. Thomas. And last and certainly not least, our Red Wings and questions. And hopefully by the time this show airs Sunday, the Red Wings are going to play some hockey. But everybody tells me it's going to happen, but
the deal will get done, but they won't play by then.
Yeah, they're going to play a 48-game schedule. But before we get there, the Lions had this press conference. A couple guys have held a press conference this past week. Schwartz gets out there and says all kinds of silly things. And then Mr. Mayhew, who was the general manager of the ball club, then decides, and listen to this now, he decides to invite the media. Please don't bring any cameras, don't bring any microphones, no recording equipment at all to his press conference, which is held like in a closet. Now, we talk about responsibility, and I just want to point something out. One of the first things they talk about the other day is bringing back Titus Young, who didn't play the last 7 or 8 games because of a human being not being a human being, not acting very nice. That's number one.
It's desperation.
I mean, I don't get it. I mean, and Jim Schwartz plays everything down. And as a matter of fact, I just want to tell you a couple of things that he said the other day. One of the first things he announces is it's business as usual. They're 4-12.
Business as usual.
They get rid of 3 guys, 3 coaches, Sean Jefferson, Sam Gash, and George Yarno. And the reason why they won't be returning, I'm told, is because their contracts had expired. But the other guys who really run the team, Cunningham, Crossman, and Linehan, they have a year or 2 left on their contract, so the Lions don't want to fire anybody that they still owe money to. Does that make sense to keep a coach? They make no money.
Yeah. Makes no sense at all. Jefferson got fired because of his run-ins with Titus Young.
Right.
That's why they're blaming Jefferson for Titus Young.
Here's one of the great I don't know. Here's one of the great lines from this alleged press conference in a closet with Martin Mayhew. He said, we're going to have, and I'm paraphrasing, a change. We're going to have a turnover. Folks, 21 out of the 22 starters this year came back from last year. Some changeover. Now they're depending upon the draft. Drafts don't solve all your problems unless you catch the kid like they did in Griffin III. I mean, listen, it just doesn't happen this automatically. For some reason, and here I'm going to ask you a question.
All right.
He said our philosophies won't change.
What he meant by that, they're going after the best player available, not by need.
Do you mean they haven't gone after the best players in the past?
No, they're continuing doing that, yes. They won't go after need.
So what are they going to go after?
The best player available in the draft.
Who?
Whoever that is.
That's my point. I don't think they've got a plan.
Well, he does have one plan. Mayhew said they're going to go after a couple of impact players. I thought they had. Stafford's an impact player, isn't he?
Johnson.
What
Sue?
about Sue? He's supposed to be.
And the other lineman, the other tackle.
Fairley?
Oh, these are all supposed to be impact players. Now, as we talk about impact players, I want to talk about Jerry Jones for a minute, who in a lot of circles would be compared to Charlie Finley, a lunatic off the board, but all Finley did was win. And Jerry Jones, for the most part, has had a pretty successful career in the NFL. But the other day, he's chastising his entire organization, his players, his management, everybody. And he's the general manager.
He brought him in?
He brought them all in. And what he goes on to say is he's very disappointed with the season they just had. It's
No
not
kidding.
acceptable. It's
No
this, that.
kidding.
Well, they were 8-8 though. That's pretty good compared to where we live.
Not for Dallas.
Not for Dallas, that's right. So this is the thing that stunned me. I think Tony Romo is a gag. I think he's a choker. I think every time he gets a chance to really win a big ball game, and I'm talking about a ball game that gets you to the next level or gets you into the playoffs, Tony chokes.
Look at
He
his
choked
playoff
again
numbers.
this past Sunday.
Look at his end of the season numbers and his playoff numbers. They're terrible.
And that's my point. I mean, you're not disagreeing with me, but
Not at all.
but what I'm saying, this is the comparison I'm trying to make. Isn't this unbelievable how the Dallas Cowboys owner will stand and scream and holler and about everything going on in his organization, and our coach says business as usual, and our philosophies won't change.
All right, here's another one. Jerry Jones loves Tony Romo.
I just said that.
Loves him to death.
Yeah,
Does
why?
Romo have pictures, or what's the deal? Why does he love him so much?
You mean he may have pictures of Tony with an animal?
No,
or
with
Jerry.
With Jerry with
You know, some of this can't be explained, and I believe some of the things that we've seen and done this year with the football team is we really misjudged this football team to begin with. We gave too many people too much
Not
credit.
me.
No, actually, you were. Well, yeah, but you're Mr. Negative Detroit,
No,
so it
I'm
makes
not
no
negative
difference.
Detroit.
And this debate keeps going on about Jerry Rice and Johnson. Let me throw something out at you. Johnson is being called the best receiver in the history of the game.
Wrong.
I couldn't agree with you more. Rice averaged almost 18 yards a carry. Johnson is averaging about a catch. Johnson is averaging about 16. Jerry Rice, after 6 years, after 6 seasons, had 79 touchdowns. Johnson, despite the fact that he's got one of the more prolific throwers in the history of the NFL, the guy throws 50 passes every time he goes out there, only has 54 touchdowns. Now, it's... Go ahead.
You're forgetting another thing. They didn't throw the ball as much back then as they did.
No,
they do
not
now.
even close to it. They weren't even close to these kind of numbers that we're seeing. So my point is, I think Stafford has been promoted and made into a star that he doesn't deserve at this point in time. Stafford's life has been saved by Johnson, because without Johnson on that playing field, I wonder really how much worse it can get. If they ever lose Johnson for a sustained period of time, this football team, unless they do something in this coming up draft, are really going to be hurting it.
It's going to take more of the draft to get this team going. They've got to go to free agency.
Free agency in what sense?
They're going to have to sign, yet they don't have the money to sign.
Listen, they got as much money as they
No,
want.
they don't. On the salary cap, no, they don't.
You know, I'm so tired. They can do anything they want to do. The owners can do whatever they want. They can be creative. They can listen, they can come up with more money in more places than, you know, I'm trying to think of.
Do you think the Lions have been creative over the years?
No, and
That's my
what
point.
disturbs me, I'll get back to my original line. Mr. Ford, whatever happened to a better idea? We'll be back with more. Let me get back to Matt Stafford for just a moment. Only 6 times in the history of the NFL has a quarterback thrown for 5,000 yards. Who has thrown more than once for 5,000 yards?
You had one quarterback out there that did.
Drew Brees. 3 times. And the difference between Brees and our guy is Brees wins when he does it. I mean, not very many guys do that. You got Marino, you got Brady, and Stafford, and of course Drew Brees 3 times. Now, what I don't understand is, and this is to the coaching staff, and like I said, I never played professional football. Played a lot of football in high school, but that's not certainly the same thing. But I pitched a little bit, and I'm going to say this one more time because I'm harping on it. If you guys don't sit down with your quarterback, Mr. Stafford, and figure out why he's throwing the ball from out here a lot, this kid's either got an injury or he's going to get hurt. He got so much money tied up in this kid, you need to do something to protect him. But somebody's not paying attention. I swear to you, that's what I believe, because it's consistently being done. And if you watch the passes he throws, the sidearm things that everybody gets such a charge
Sails.
out of.
Oh, I don't.
Not only that, the ball sails one time, and the next time it's behind the guy. You very seldom ever hit the guy in the right place. And if it wasn't for Johnson, half of these passes that he's throwing sidearm would be no good. So I suspect he's still got a sore arm. We could be dead wrong about it, but even the velocity changes from down there. But when he's over the top and when he can throw the ball deep, God, the kid can really throw the ball. I just hope he's not injured
Back
at
to
this point
Johnson.
in time.
Johnson is a great receiver, but he's not as good as Rice. And I don't think he's close to as good as Rice.
Well, not after 6 years, certainly not. I mean, it's not even close with statistics. But, you know, I didn't see Jerry Rice play a lot. You only saw him when the games were on TV. How would you see him? More than I would.
I watch football more than you.
No, you don't. Nobody watches more football than I do.
Yes, I do.
And the thing with Rice was he was more of a smooth running guy. I mean, he had such great ability. He looked like a deer when he was out in the open field.
It's a good.
And the difference between him and Johnson is he's a bull coming at you. He's a tough guy and he can knock you down. Jerry Rice never tried to knock anybody down. Jerry would run across, like Barry Sanders. Barry never tried to run anybody over. I don't think Barry's ever, unless it was by mistake, was ever hit head on by a defensive player.
Too hard to hit.
Well, too tough to catch, to certainly say the least. But the bottom line is, if they don't fix this thing with Stafford, a couple of people are going to get hurt. And I just want to mention one thing about Johnson. Johnson, by having to reach back half the time, by having not the ball to be in the right place, sooner or later, somebody's going to take his head off. And we will lose one of the great players we've ever seen in this city. And that would be a shame to lose a guy with this kind of ability.
Denny, next year, are you going on record next year saying the Lions are 10, 11 games?
Not yet. I'm not, no, not yet. Now, let's talk about our favorite pitcher here in Detroit. His name is Justin Verlander. Justin has been vacationing with Kate Upton, who I just learned today is the niece of Fred Upton, the congressman from the east side of the state of Michigan.
West side.
West side of the state. And I guess they've been staying, if I believe the whole story, they've been staying at Captain Bluebeard's. Now let me tell you the connection here, why I bring the story up. Bluebeard's Castle there. My wife and I, when we got married, 63, the next year we were playing winter ball in Puerto Rico, and then we got 4 or 5 days off during the Christmas break. So we got on a plane and we flew to St. Thomas, where Bluebeard's Castle is. And our first child was conceived there, our Kristen. So I know Justin wants to walk in my footsteps. I understand that. But on the other hand, that was a joke. On the other hand, Justin, until you say I do, let's not have any children yet. You got a lot of things to take care of. And, you know, spring training's 35, 40 days away again, and it's just going to be good to see everybody down there. But I think it's kind of ironic that here we have never mind. I guess I'm the only guy that thinks it's funny.
Whatever happened to his old girlfriend? He was engaged to her forever.
Well, I guess this is our TMZ section.
Yeah, so you can say that.
I guess they were together 9 years, and he dumped her, just dumped her. So
paid her to go away.
Well, that's what everybody. When I was in Virginia, some guy, one of the owners of the ball club up there, had told me that he paid her a lot of money to go away quietly. And if that's the truth, and it could be, because she certainly went away quietly. She was a class act by not coming out. You know, because you see so many people go a little nuts when that happens.
She could still do it.
Still do what?
Go a little nuts.
You know, listen, once you get the money, buddy, you ain't going nuts. The NHL. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know when to tell you. Maybe you have more insight into this.
They're going to play.
48 games. Is that worth it?
And they starting it?
Here's my question for you.
They're starting it on my birthday.
Oh, that's light a candle. Here's my problem.
Light a candle.
Here's my problem with the NHL. They're going to give you a 48-game schedule, maybe. That's number one. Number two, more importantly,
they'll be out of shape.
The guys are out of shape. That's exactly right. More guys will get hurt more quickly.
Look at the NBA when they did that.
Absolutely.
They were terrible.
Same situation.
Right.
The play is not good. And I don't know what to tell the fans. I know there's not a monster base for hockey. in this town, there's a bigger base than most. But in the other cities, people are talking about never going to another hockey game, never wanting to see hockey again, wanting to
They'll be first in line.
Well, I don't, listen, you know, look at our Pistons. Nobody's going to the games. Yeah, they had a sellout the other night because Miami was in town. But the night before, they had 3,000 or 4,000 people. I don't know how you continue to survive. And unless you go out and get yourself some dynamite guys that can light up the floor, I think you're going to see the worst year in the history of the Pistons here. Your turn.
When you say worst as far as attendance?
Attendance?
Wrong. Cobo days, they'd beat 1,500 people to the games.
No, I know that, but we're talking about the Palace.
Oh, the
we're not talking about the guys downtown.
Listen, Denny, the Pistons set an NBA record for the most consecutive sellouts. They've only sold out 1 or 2 cents.
Well, anyway.
It's by far the worst the Pistons have ever had.
We'll be back with the Big Apple. Wait till you hear what's going on with the Jets. Welcome back. One of the great stories in the NFL right now is what happened in Philadelphia. Andy Reid, who lost a son earlier this year, has been fired by the Philadelphia Eagles after 14 years. But all of a sudden, there's 2, 3, 4 teams pitching him a new job.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy gets fired at noon the next day, and at 1:30 he's on a plane going to Arizona or St. Louis or someplace.
He'll have another job with no problem at all.
See, that's,
get away from Vic.
And see, it's the same thing that's wrong with Major League Baseball. It's the good old boy network. None of the guys who really knew how to teach really get an opportunity, with the exception. St. Louis is an exception to the rule. Detroit used to be an exception. But now it's all buddies, the buddy build time. And I just think it's deplorable at times and how they just bring their friends along and not give other opportunity friends.
I thought sure Buddy Ryan was going to get fired. Not Buddy Ryan. Rex Ryan was going to get fired.
Well, let's talk about the Jets for just a second. Of course, they got Sanchez and Tebow. Those are problems. Neither one's going to be back in New York. No. Although Sanchez has got a chance. They owe him $17 million. He's got $17 million coming.
Nobody else going to give him that money.
Somebody's got to pay him. This is a guaranteed $17 million. But he's got to get the money.
But that's why he could stay, because either they're going to have to pay off most of the contract or he's going to stay.
Do you think that they will let him go somewhere else if they got to pay the $17 million anyway?
No, they'll pay part of the 17.
But here's the kicker. This is the one that blows me away. Michael Vick has been done now for a couple of years.
Yeah, so I agree.
You know, they send bigger defenses at him. He's a shorter guy. He's only about 6 foot tall. So compared to the other quarterbacks in the NFL who are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and taller, he has a tough time seeing over the linemen.
Now there's talk he's going to New York.
The Jets say they love him. They can't wait to talk to Michael Vick. They want him on their team. They just had 2 horrible experiences in New York. And see, I'll tell you the thing, and I'm not a Tebow fan. Please don't misunderstand me. But he should have, at least, when things really went south for the Jets,
give him a shot.
At least let him play. Throw some lightning into the game for at least the
fans.
Throw
him a bone or something.
And see what. But the problem is, maybe they were feeling sorry for Tebow. And you know, I didn't play for any team in New York, but when you went in there and you didn't have a good day in New York, I don't care who you were, you really got racked real bad by the fans. By the fans, I'm talking about.
Michael Vick will never make it in New York.
Why?
He can't handle it.
He can't make it anywhere. He's not an NFL quarterback anymore.
In New York, it'll be worse.
It'll be worse for the fans. It'll be worse in the sense that Michael Vick probably would not be able to stand the criticism that he would pick up if he's not successful.
That's correct.
And I just don't know how, by any one stretch of any imagination, that he could possibly be in any way an asset for the Jets.
Denny, the guy can't play anymore. I mean, the guy can't read defenses. He's a crybaby when he gets hit. Why no penalty? He just gets nailed all the time.
But don't most quarterbacks say something?
No, not like that.
In what?
They think they're picking on him. Vic thinks they're picking on him.
Well, you know what?
They're not picking on him.
That's the big leagues of the big leagues, this NFL. I mean, these guys, 360, 70 pounds hitting a guy, you're liable you don't wind up in Bethesda all the time.
You don't want to get hit? Throw the ball and quit running.
But they don't have an offense. You got to build your offense around the guy that is your quarterback.
You can't build.
He has to run. That. He has to run with the ball.
Listen, last year Philadelphia upgraded their receivers, offensive line, gave Vic every opportunity, and he failed.
But they had all these guys hurt last year. Philadelphia had a horrible team. But my point is New York. Forget Philadelphia. New York is the most nasty. They talk about Philadelphia. I'm telling you, New York, they will tear your arms off of you emotionally. You won't walk through the tunnel,
Denny,
for God's
they
sakes.
don't boo, at least in New York, they don't boo Santa Claus. They do in Philadelphia.
He was drunk. Santa Claus was drunk. It's a horrible commentary for Santa to be drunk, and especially in Philadelphia.
How do you know he's drunk?
How do I know? Drunk? He's taking the same thing. He's drinking the same thing you are today.
Got that bad throat.
You want to tell anybody about Tomaine Telly's here before we take a break?
Listen, my restaurant is not Tomaine Telly's. The food's great. Come on down to Northwestern and Beck Road.
Hang on a minute. Does the food sound great today?
It is.
Listen to him. Does the food really sound that good?
The pizza's the best. Come down to All-Star Grill and Pizza, Northwestern and Beck Road, right where the Lodge and Northwestern and Telegraph come together. We're open 7 days, lunch and dinner, deliver, carry out, dine in.
And let's do, while I got you here, why don't you do the radio thing
Yes,
real quick?
new time. I'm on WDFN Sundays now. You can, right after the show, noon till 2, you can listen to me on AM 1130, WDFN. Tune in.
Now, you done?
I'm done. Continue.
Don't eat the food anymore because you sound like hell.
It's not because of the food.
I suspect it's because of the pizza.
No, it's not because
Are
of
you
the
sure?
pizza. No, yes.
All right, we'll be back with lots of questions right after this. Thank you. Our last segment is we do take questions, but before we get to them, let me say one thing. If you want to join us while we tape the shows on Thursday afternoons about 3 o'clock over here in the studios at WADL, we're on 15 Mile, about a quarter mile east of Gratiot.
Got it right this time.
And you can't miss it. There's a 1,500-foot tower sitting out there that you can see for miles as you approach the building from miles away. So if you want to come down, just come on over at 2:30, quarter to 3 on any Thursday. And
Love to have you there.
Sometimes we even have food. And sometimes he doesn't show up. So those are good days.
Well, listen, if you have the food, better get there before Denny gets to it, though.
Yeah, okay. All right. Now, sir, tell us your name and where you're from.
Vito Delia.
Hey, Vito.
Vito, yeah. Vito.
Forget about it.
St. Clair Shores, Michigan.
All right.
The question I have is, I used to watch Channel 4, and Katrina was on there, and I don't see her anymore.
No.
And I've not heard not one word, anything in the paper or anything what happened.
Well, let our TMZ reporter, Mr. Cameron, tell you what happened to Katrina.
Well, you see, a lot of people get fired in this business. I don't know if that's the case with her. They said that she wanted to spend more time with her family. I don't believe that, but maybe it did. Then replaced by Rob Parker. Now, I don't know what the deal is with the Rob Parker anymore.
But he's disappeared.
He's disappeared because of the suspension with ESPN. I don't know if he's going to be on Channel 4 anymore or what.
Well, would you be willing to take that job?
No.
No. Okay. Your name, sir, and where are you from?
My name's Rick from St. Clair Shores.
Hi, Rick.
How you doing? I had a couple brief Tiger questions.
Okay.
You played on a 1968 team with a pure defensive shortstop, Roy Euler. Do you think the Tigers would be better served with a pure defensive shortstop on their teams since they have so much
Absolutely.
offensive power?
Let me say this to you.
Denny loves Peralta.
I love Peralta.
He stinks.
I think he's a
He
player.
stinks.
I think he shows up every day to play.
He shows up, yeah.
He doesn't have Louis Aparicio's range or Alan Trammell's
Doesn't have
range
your
in the
range,
frame.
Denny.
I'm telling you, the guy can play.
No, he can't.
The guy can hit. He's a smart guy. He's very seldom out of position if the pitchers pitch the way they're supposed to pitch. Got to remember, a shortstop or a second baseman can look real bad if the pitcher says with his sign that they're going to throw a slider and they throw a pitch inside and the guy hits it in the hole. A good shortstop is made by good pitchers because if they follow the game plan, all the good infielders will look that much better. Peralta is the same thing. Listen, he may have slowed down.
Slowed down,
think
Denny. Slow as you are now.
he can play the game.
No, he
And
can't.
what you want at this point in time with everybody else that we've got on this club, you want guys to play the game. He
Denny,
can hit some
hold
home
on.
runs.
Hold on. There's 60 to 80 balls that got past Peralta, average shortstops would have gotten. He didn't get them.
Oh, you're out of here. How many?
That is almost 80 balls, and he missed.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
Baseball
You know what, though?
stats.
You're out of your mind.
No, I'm not.
80, you're saying 80 base hits were
60
because
to
he
80.
didn't get to the ball?
He couldn't get to the ball.
You got
And I saw most
Where
of them.
the hell do you come off with 80?
That's what Lynn Henning said.
That's
in the
right.
paper.
He's
I
right.
don't know if it's true. or
Well,
not.
you and Lynn Henning are
No,
drinking the same
that's
Kool-Aid,
baseball.
for
Well, that's
God's
good.
sakes. I mean to tell you, you're crazy.
No, he missed so many balls last year, Denny. He can't
Oh, you're
move.
out of your mind.
He can't move, Denny.
You're just absolutely
No,
out
I'm
of your
not.
mind.
He
The
can't
guy's a
move.
player and he likes
He's
to
not
play.
a player. They'll
Yes,
never
sir.
win
Go
without
ahead,
a
sir. Give us
shortstop.
your next one.
Second question.
Never
was,
win. No way.
Brian Wilson's on the market still. He's had two arm
Tommy John.
surgeries.
Yep.
Is that any possibility at all that he could still come back and be an effective pitcher?
If he will work real cheap, he's going to wind up with somebody, but nobody's going to invest the money that at one time he was worth.
I agree.
That's the thing. I mean, nobody's going to throw a bunch of cash out there for anybody that's had 2 Tommy Johns.
One's bad enough.
Yes, sir. Your name and where you from?
Hi, Bob from Westland.
Hi, Bob.
We talked a lot earlier about Calvin Johnson and his accomplishments.
Yes.
Do these records in the NFL mean anything since they change the rules every year?
It's not only the rules they've changed the scheme of the game. In other words, the first thing the teams do now is throw. You remember years ago, not that long ago, the game used to be we
Running
run the
game.
ball, we run the ball, we run the ball, and then we pass when we loosen them up a little bit. The whole game of the NFL has changed upside down. So you're going to see Stafford next year. I think Stafford will set another league record next year for the most passes ever thrown in a season again. And he may do it every year. Why? We have no running game, none whatsoever. Listen, it's time for us to go. We thank you for
Where are you
tuning.
going?
We're going to eat.
You.
We thank you. We thank
Think
you
for
very
yourself.
much. And if you get a chance, stay away from Tomaine Telly's.
No. All-Star
We'll
Grill and
see
Pizza. Get out of
you
here.
next week.
Northwestern and
Have
Beck
a great
Road.
weekend.
Come on
Thank
down
you.
to my restaurant.